Okay, I think we can get started now. Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming to this Key Stage 3 Teaching Resource Showcase. My name is Anna, I am the Planetary Science Education Assistant here at the Geological Society, and I am joined by Ashley and Sarah from the education team. So today we're hosting the showcase as a very informal session in which I will talk through the new planetary science resources that we have designed and are ready to launch. And then there'll be a chance for questions. If you do have any questions in the meantime, please drop them in the chat. Ashley or Sarah will get to you in the chat, or we can answer them at the end. Okay, so hopefully going to share my screen. This is always an interesting one. Okay, hopefully that all works fine. So yeah, we are going to talk about Key Stage 3 resources today. For those of you who are here for the Key Stage 2 resources, I'll make sure to highlight any changes. There will be some repetition, but a lot of things will be new and exciting too. Okay, so first of all, these resources were developed as part of Project Orbit, which is a GeoSoc project aiming to develop a sustainable strategy to integrate planetary geoscience into our outreach and education initiatives. And it's part of the UK Space Agency Space for All, which just aims to make planetary science and space in general more accessible to school pupils and general public. Basically, we're just using the exciting context of space to inspire interest in STEM subjects and hopefully increase STEM uptake into further education, university careers, and so on. If you'd like to find out more, please head to our website. Without further ado, I'll just go into the resources now. So we're going to showcase 3 resources today. The first one will be a meteorite sample box, which will be available to loan by teachers in the next academic year. Then we will also launch a new poster and an educational game. So the sample box looks like this. Also like this. Oh, that's not helpful. Oh yeah, it's quite bulky. It's got meteorite samples, Earth, like terrestrial samples, some impact rocks, and also 3D printed crater model. So the box will include an image like this one, showing you what everything is and what everything is. I'm going to go into more detail on what these words mean in a second. But yeah, aside from the rocks, we'll also give you some hand lenses, some badges, and a USB stick with documentation. So the meteorites, the box contains 9 in total. There is at least 1 of each type of meteorite and includes Moon and Mars meteorites. All of these are real meteorites, real rocks from space. Children can't quite believe it generally from our experience, so it's good to emphasize that to them. It's very exciting. They're touching something that came from space. Some of them can be handled. They will be the ones in the low card trays. A small number of them are too small or too fragile to be in child hands, so those will be in boxes and it will be clear which are which. There are then some terrestrial samples. So these are called, well, we call them meteorons. They are rocks that are often confused for meteorites, look a bit like meteorites. So we've included some for a game where they have to tell the difference between Earth rocks and space rocks. There will be 3 of each rock, except for hematite, which will just have 1 specimen, and the regolith and analog, which are little vials with dust from the Moon and from Mars. There'll be two vials. And I should have said this, there is 1 of each meteorite, so as in 1 specimen of each individual meteorite. There are also some impact rocks. So these are rocks that were modified or created when a meteorite hit the Earth. So we've got some impact glasses and some partially molten rocks. And these are again for rock handling activity. Just getting them to do some basic rock observations to try to understand what they're seeing. Finally, we have acquired a 3D printer and created some 3D crater models. So these models are from of craters from the Moon, Earth, and Mars. And they are 3D and vertically exaggerated, so all the features are, I want to say obvious. They're not obvious. All the features can be felt. These will also include a tactile user guidance in Braille for anyone who needs it. And aside from the samples, there'll be a sample list and fact sheets on each rock. So just a bit of background information on where the rocks came from and what's actually in them. There will then be a glossary of terms, definitions for various words used throughout the lessons. 3 lessons are included, including a lesson plan, PowerPoint presentation, and a handout. However, I need to emphasize this. You don't have to do our lessons. Just if you would like, you can do these lessons, and they make use of all of the samples in the box. But if you just like the box to integrate in your distant lessons, that's completely fine too. There is a separate activity sheet getting students to think about the rock cycle in the context of space rocks, which is, of course, recap of the rock cycle as well, but also gets them to think a bit creatively about space rocks and how they would fit in the rock cycle. And again, the 3D model guidance. So I'm now going to go into the lessons in very well, quite quickly, because it's impossible to cover the entire lesson in this short showcase. But yeah, there are 3 lessons. First is introduction to meteorites. Second is an introduction to impact craters. And third, a lesson on how to build a moon base. The first one, so introduction to meteorites, where they come from, how they form, how they got to the Earth, how to identify them. This is a lesson that we've ran in February for our school workshops. And everyone had a really good time, and I think they found it really helpful. Yeah, we're quite happy with this one. In terms of curriculum length, it's linked to working scientifically in science because of the rock handling activity, space physics, Earth and atmosphere in chemistry, and also the rocks module in geography. And the main activity, which we recommend happens around halfway through the lesson, is a meteorite versus meteorong, pun very much intended, in which there are 6 rock samples, and they go around each station, they make some rock observations, and then they have this checklist with what a meteorite usually looks like. They just have to say yes, no, or maybe based on their observations, and then they can hopefully determine if something is or isn't a meteorite. So that's the first lesson, and as I said, it's got a lesson plan, PowerPoint, and a handout. The handout is just tables for them to make observations in. A second lesson is about impact cratering, so what a crater looks like, how it forms, and then looking at rocks formed or modified by impacts. It's linked again to working scientifically, although it is primarily, I'd say, a physics lesson. We're linking to space physics, forces, and energy because of transfer of energy during an impact. Also linked to Earth and atmosphere in chemistry again, and the rocks module in geography. There are 2 activities as part of it. The first one is 3D model handling. So these are the, these are 3D models, and they can have a look and a feel of them. And secondly, the impact rock handling. Finally, the moon-based lesson is something that actual space agencies are thinking about how to do. So we thought it would be really interesting for children to think about it too. So considering the location on the moon, where one might want to build a moon base, sources of power, and also natural resources. Linked to working scientifically again, space physics, matter, Earth and atmosphere, and also geography through use of natural resources and rocks again. And this time they'll be handling some analogs for moon rocks. So we've got some rocks that are found on the moon, but you know, obviously ours are not on the moon, but those types of rocks are on the moon. So hopefully that'll be interesting for them. Finally, some of you may be familiar with our existing rock cycle worksheet. So we've used a little bit of that as a recap of the rock cycle on the first page. Yeah, recap of the rock cycle on the first page. making some rock observations on samples that on samples from the box. And finally, fill in the blanks exercise, in which we give a little bit of information on how meteorites form, and then we get them to think about where they might fit in the rock cycle. As I said, it's really not obvious how they fit in the rock cycle, but hopefully this will get them to think a bit creatively about how rocks form. Yeah, in terms of logistics, so how do you get this box? So we have 5 of them available for loan. For those of you who were in the Key Stage 2 showcase, I know I said 3 back then. We've since increased it to 5 because we realized there'll be a lot of interest in this. They'll be available for a 12-week loan, and there'll be a window for pickup and drop-off at our London office. So pickup will be at the start of term or just before, drop-off at the end of term. At the moment, we are not able to post these, I'm afraid. The reason is they are quite bulky and there's a lot that can break. Yeah, lots of small rocks that might not survive transit if we send them by post. So in the first instance, we will just ask teachers to come pick it up. In the future, we hope to be able to post them as well. Again, initially we will run a trial period, probably 1 academic year for school teachers to loan them only. However, in the future, we aim to make these available to home educators as well as students and other educators doing outreach. There will be a loan agreement. The loan is free, to make this clear. The loan agreement is just saying that you will return the rocks to us in the same form as we gave them to you. So we expect a reasonable wear and tear from being handled by children, but if any rock goes missing or is damaged to a point where it can no longer be used, then this agreement would make you liable for the cost of the rocks. We're sure that won't be the case, but just so you're aware, there will be an agreement involved. So hopefully that's all clear. Please put any questions in the chat, and I'll just go on and talk about the other resources. So this is our new meteorite poster. It explains briefly how the solar system forms, and then how planets become layered, how planets and asteroids become layered, and then relating that to different types of meteorites. This is not all meteorites out there. It's just some, the main types. But yeah, we just thought it might be interesting for children to learn how these meteorites actually form. There's also a little bit on space exploration. As with all of our posters, this will be available online to download in a high-resolution PDF. And if you would like one for your school, just get in touch with education via the email that I'll put on the last slide, and we'll post one to you. These are currently being printed, so if you email this evening, there will be a little bit of a delay getting these to you, but they'll be available in 2 to 3 weeks. Finally, the educational game that I mentioned is a game of darts. So this is a game that lets pupils defend the Earth from asteroid using magnetic darts. They'll learn about planetary defense, space missions, and optionally, if you want, about risk assessments. So this game is inspired by an actual NASA mission called DART, which quite literally hit an asteroid to see if it could knock it off course. And the way the game works is you've got a whiteboard, you put paper asteroids on it using magnets, and you use magnetic darts to hit the asteroids to knock them off course. We provide an online activity sheet and asteroids to print and cut out. You will, however, need a whiteboard, magnetic darts, and some magnets to attach the printed asteroids to. And I think that is it. Oh, apologies, I forgot to say what the differences between the lessons were between Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 3. I'll just take any questions from the chat first and then go into those differences if there is interest. Thank you so much. Just gonna look into the chat as well. Any questions?
Hey Anna, there's a question in the Q&A section. Abby has asked, do you have an estimate of when the loans will be available to home educators?
So we will make them available in the new academic year. Look out for that announcement, probably around summer, I would expect. Oh, I forgot to say the USB stick in the box will also include the 3D print files if you have access to 3D printers. They've become increasingly more common. Then you can print your own. And also we'll provide a list of the samples involved, perhaps local museums, observatories, etc. Might have them for you to source locally if you're not able to come down to London.
And then Becca has asked in the chat, so are the resources available from September 2025?
The box, yes. The online resources, so the poster and the darts, will probably be available as soon as our like as soon as April, I'd expect. We're going through a bit of a website revamp at the moment. So as soon as the new website is live, we will have these resources already available.
I can't see any more questions in the Q&A or the chat. Anna, oh, some more are coming in.
Oh,
Will there be a reminder when the resources are available?
yes. I am not sure where the reminder will go though. Sarah, do you know what like
Yeah.
newsletter, etc. will send them on?
Yeah, after this showcase today, we're going to send out an email with links to other resources and other things that we do. One of the things that we do is something called schools affiliates. So if you are part of a school, you can sign up to this. This will be the first place that we announce anything that we're doing. That's where people get the first information. As for if you're not part of a school, I think that's something we'll think on, and maybe we offer it out if we could put together a mailing list for the people that have attended these sessions if they would like to, and maybe something like that. So definitely we all hope to remind people. That's a really great question.
Yeah, so I think in the email that I'm going to send you after this, the email is going to have like all the information about other educational resources and things that we have on, a link to the recording, which is going to be uploaded to YouTube, and probably also a mailing list opt-in. I'm just aware that we got your email saying we will email you the link and nothing else. So the mailing list will be an opt-in, but there will be information on how to join schools affiliates as well.
I can't see any more questions on my end, Anna.
Okay. Oh, two more.
A few more, sorry. Um,
Oh, that's a really good question. Um, I don't see a reason why not, but Sarah, I defer to your education wisdom.
yeah. We hadn't thought of this. We thought of the long loan period just so it can be used by multiple classes and multiple years within schools. But this sounds really great. So that's something actually we can have a look at and see what a risk assessment for that would look like. But that's a great question, Ben, and we'll definitely take that into consideration. Thank you.
Definitely worth minimizing travel wherever we can. Well, that was brief. Okay, well, the feedback form that, oh, Yes, so we recently ran a workshop for home educated students actually, which as far as I know was the first one that we did. Definitely looking at doing more workshops like that, but we had a workshop slot in which home educated students could sign up. Well, their educators could sign up on their behalf. Um, but yeah, that's a really good idea. No, it's okay. So we advertise all of the workshops through the mailing list, the schools affiliates one, also through our socials. Um, Sarah, can you remind me how often schools affiliate newsletter goes out?
For schools affiliates, it's termly.
Hmm.
But if you're not part of schools affiliates and not part of a school, the best way to find out about what we're doing is either on our socials, so on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And you can also just keep an eye on our website. Any new events that we have coming up are advertised there first. So we don't have a mailing list for anyone that's not part of a school currently. So that would be the best place to look, would be check out socials. And also we have a geoscience education and outreach network called Geon. This is on Discord. We're going to send a link via email of how to sign up for that. If that's something that you're interested in, we advertise anything that's going on at the society there as well.
Okay. Well, if there are no more questions, the link to thank you. I was just talking about the link to the feedback form. If you do have further questions, please fill out the form. Um, and yeah, thank you so much for joining us this fine evening. Um, I hope you have a really great rest of the evening. Thanks, everyone.